Hey, welcome to another episode of the Real CFO Project. Chad Brown. Today, it's going to be a solo episode, and it's something that I think all of us need to kind of step back and think a little bit more about, and it's the way that we communicate, right? And how we communicate, and the cadence at which we communicate. You see, as a business owner, it's oftentimes you've created something and you own the intellectual property because you've created it in your mind. You have that vision, and then as you grow and scale and add partners, investors, new team members, you have a reluctancy to let go of some of the information and clearly articulate and communicate it to others. And without doing so, you're going to limit yourself in the scalability of your business. So, you know, believe me, I've lived this experience. And to me, it's part of our overall mission of helping small business owners where they are and really understanding not just the financial side of the business, the debits, the credits, the accounting, the bookkeeping, and everything, but how can you best run and your business, have more profitability, and everything else. So this one is near and dear to my heart, communication, because I have struggled through it quite a bit. See, every business problem, or the majority of them, that I see, whether it be looking back on my experiences or with current clients, other business folks that I speak with, and it's communication. And that communication is how we talk to our teams, how we talk to our business partners, investors, like I said previously. But it's also about how we talk to ourselves, right? A lot of what we do in business as business owners, entrepreneurs, is we have a lot of internal dialogue that we talk to ourselves. So one, communication with yourself, first and foremost, has to be honest, respectful, and forward-looking. And when I say honest, sometimes when we get into hard moments, we talk ourselves into this fear and this, hey, we're failures, and we create this negative vibe and energy in us that it really impacts how we see ourselves, how we see our business, how we are going to continue to grow. So first and foremost, I think communication with ourselves is one of the most important. And it also requires us to, if we're being honest, reflect, right? If we're talking to ourselves, stop. Say, how am I talking to myself? If someone else was talking to me that way, would I be incentivized or encouraged to blaze through this challenge? Or would I start creating fear, uncertainty, anxiety, negative energy that's not going to be good for myself, my business, or those within the business, or even my personal life, those folks around me. So again, the way you communicate with yourself is more important than any other communication you have. It starts there. So then it kind of translates into, how do you communicate with your team? How do you communicate your vision? Do they understand that? Can they see it? Do they know what it means? Are you clearly articulating that? So clearly communicating your vision is number two within the context of your business. Number three that I see is important is, when we're communicating with our team, are we being clear? Are we talking in generalities? Are we talking about ideas? Are we talking about this wide space out here that's just kind of floating and with no direct tie to action, right? A lot of times, when we meet as entrepreneurs and with business owners, and if you're visionaries, kind of like me, is we talk a lot about vision, and ideas and thoughts and everything, but we don't clearly articulate the path to get there. We haven't reverse engineered and laid out the minute details that need to happen every week, or clearly need to be articulated to your team. So is your communication with them simple, clear, and direct? That way, it doesn't create any confusion. They understand what it is you're saying, what it is they're expected to do, right? So are you being honest with them? Are you saying what you mean when you're communicating to them? Or are you kind of beating around the bush and not directly communicating the matter? So I think that's hugely important, is don't have these 30 to 60-minute meetings or longer, and just talk about ideas all the time. Brainstorming is good. It's good to get the group together and say, hey, this is a brain dump session. We're going to jump ideas and thoughts and everything, and then we're going to clearly break them down into actionable items that we're going to take. But in your communication, are you being deliberate? When you go into a meeting, do you have a plan? Do you have an agenda? Does everybody know what to expect so they show up prepared, ready to engage, right? If we're not doing that as leaders and as business owners, how are we supposed to expect them to, actively be involved in that meeting? I hear all the time, business owners saying, I have these meetings, but nobody ever says anything. There's no ideas and everything. Well, typically that's because, one, the leader talks too much, and two, there's not a clear agenda of what we're trying to accomplish and what the expectation is prior to the meeting. Say, I want everybody to come to this meeting ready to talk about these 3 topics. 1, 2, 3. I want input, feedback. I want worst case, best case. I want pros, cons. I want it all. Come to the meeting ready to go. That's clearly articulating that message, not just saying, hey, meeting at 9. Okay. We all can get better at it. I have a lot of improvement there, but that's why I'm having this conversation with you all, is I'm being honest with myself. The way I'm communicating is I need that. Secondly, if we're communicating to our customers, right? How do you communicate to your customers? That's branding, that's marketing, that's everything you do. Is it intentional? Are you talking to a customer, the avatar of what it is they need? And are you living up to what you're saying? Right? If I say one of the things that differentiates me and my business is that when customers reach out to us, my team and or I communicate like that. It's fast. But as time goes by, we get too comfortable and we're not communicating with them the way we communicated to them we would. Right? That's one of the easiest ways to sour a relationship, is say I'm going to do something and then not do it, right? So are you proactively communicating? Like us, we are, one of the things that separates us is, 1, we're proactive. 2, we communicate. If you need something, reach out, send a message, right? Somebody on the team will at least acknowledge that, say, we've got you. We don't have the answer yet. Let's schedule a call. Or here's the answer. Boom, boom, boom. We send a message. How are you communicating what you do for the customers, and then how are you communicating it through your actions? That's very, very important. Also internally with communications, if you're part of a team or bigger picture and you guys are working in a culture to really drive the business forward, are you communicating positivity? Are you communicating urgency? Are you communicating that I am doing my part to move things to the next level? Or are you not communicating actively? Do you say something and then not respond when somebody responds back to you? Are you getting emails that slip by and you're not responding to them? Are you not following the internal chain of command and the way the communication structure that we have internally, so everybody's kind of on the same page and engaged and energized, right? How are you communicating as a leader? If I have somebody on my team that reaches out to me with a question, concern, whatever, and I sit on it for 48 hours, what does that tell my employee? Does that tell them that maybe they're not so important? Maybe what's bothering them is not something that I'm too concerned about? Well, that's an easy way to get employees to turn and shift and look elsewhere. Are you showing care? Are you showing need? So if I'm communicating actively with them, if they need something and I'm on it, I care, I'm responding, I'm being diligent, that means a lot. That means a lot in terms of the culture within the organization, the energy, right, is just different. Nobody's sitting there expecting a response, waiting for a response, not getting a response, and feeling somewhat disrespected or not felt much of or shown much importance because the communication isn't there. So it's very important that we're communicating effectively, timely, and with a sense of urgency, in my opinion. Now, take that the other direction. You don't want to communicate to everyone that you're going to respond just like that at all hours of the night, all hours of the day, all the time. It's just not healthy for you as a person. So that as a leader, sometimes, and this is where I get myself into trouble, is I'm pushing, I'm always communicating, always live, always action, always doing something, and that's not healthy all the time because I can't expect others to be the same. Okay? So make sure you add that grace in there, right, to understand that others aren't quite like you, or maybe you don't they don't respond quite like you. They're not in their phone or notifications 24/7. Respect that. You have to respect that. There has to be an understanding between all parties of what that expectation is, right? So, and that expectation starts with communication and being clear. So, I think it's very important. So, one of the things that, again, as business owners, especially around investors and partners in business, is there is sometimes a reluctance to have communication around conflict. Okay? And what happens in that instance is if you got conflict, sometimes it's easy just to let it slide, not do anything about it, just let it it'll go away. It'll go away. I don't have time for that negative energy or that hard conversation or those things. So when we do that, we let things kind of build. They stack, right? This incident stacks a little bit. That issue stacks a little bit. This issue, that issue, that issue. And pretty soon, you've got this big stack, and then bam, it fires off, and you react, you explode. So I think one of the worst things, and believe me, I'm speaking to myself when I say this, is avoiding conflict, and then when conflict gets to a pressure point, you explode, and then you limit, or you, you limit the productivity of that conversation, but by doing that, you've also created this defensiveness, this divide, this barrier that pushes out the outcome or the decision or the moving forward or whatever needs to be taken further out. So it's best if there's conflict, there's frustration, there's things that are bothering you, that those are communicated early, put on the table in a very transparent fashion, nothing personal. Say, these are bothering me. Here's where I want to go. Here's where I see this is where we're struggling. And let's figure out a solution to this so we know each other's expectations when it comes to it. But that's one of the battles with partnerships and investors and everything, is sometimes we're so in the work, we're pushing, we don't know and aren't clearly communicating with the others, we don't know what each other are doing, and then all of a sudden those frustrations stack and build and explode, and it creates a very negative energy, and it can oftentimes, depending on the partners and who you're working with and your relationship and respect for them, whether or not that can be bridged or not, whether you want to move that forward, whether you want to continue going down that road. So don't avoid the conflict, don't avoid the hard conversations, right? And then next, just like anything, communication within the framework of your business is part of that business system and business processes that you have. So if you have a communication structure and everyone knows the expectations, you're making sure the technology is working the way it is, how to communicate, and folks should adapt to that system and adhere to the expectations of that system. So to me, we use on our team is Microsoft Office 365 products. We have Teams, we have Planner, we have Asana for some of our projects, our client projects. But operating within that system kind of avoids us having to go here. We can see everything within the system, and if everybody lives within that, it makes it very easy to do. And also gives us a way to track projects, accountability, those sorts of things that often create uncertainty in the minds of maybe colleagues or staff or bosses, whatever. It's like, okay, it's a fully transparent system. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm doing. This is what you see, and this is how we communicate through it. So using systems will help with that. So anyway, if you're having trouble, growing or scaling or having conflict with staff or employees, most of the time it's going to drill down to the communication, and in the majority of those times, even, it's going to boil down to that lack of communication that you've had on hard things, or the lack of communication that you've had in terms of what your culture is, or that lack of communication, what your vision is. That's going to slow your growth. It's going to speed up employee churn because they don't know, there's no culture, there's no vision, there's chaos, right? So it really all starts with communication. I think we can all get better with it. So, and remember, lastly, this last point I'll leave you with is that communication isn't just what you say, okay? You can say all the vision, the encouragement, the positivity, all that stuff in the meetings, when you're in the, everybody's looking at you or whatever, but it's your actions. What are you doing to show them that you are truly communicating and living what you say? The best leaders, the best teams, families, you name it, churches, whatever it may be, main things they do well is they talk, they listen more, and lastly, they follow through. So if you want to make your business grow and create a positive energy vibe, build that culture, that vision, you need to talk it, you need to listen to input from your team and value it, and you need to follow through on what you said you were going to do. I hope that helped some of you. Just kind of something I wanted to get off my chest. It's something I'm working on getting better at. Us as an organization, we're getting better at. But I think in terms of, small businesses and looking at, what does it mean to be the CFO of your business or the CEO of your business? Communication is at the top of the list. How you communicate your vision, how you communicate through your actions and actually do the work, and how you express and communicate diligently, proactively, and with a sense of urgency with your team to show you care is hugely important. So hope this helps everybody. We'll see you next time.